Good afternoon, everyone. I thought it would be really useful to make a video about the kind of the key things really that kind of greatly enable people to become more successful on guitar. So learn longer, play longer, enjoy more, have more fun, all that stuff. And the reason why I thought about doing this is because I've been talking a lot recently to parents and students and parents of students who are doing really, really well. So, they're really loving it. They're really progressing through the levels. They're playing a lot of music, even in lockdown with us not being able to go out and, actually physically play music with people. There's still a lot of people who are successful. And then I think, well, what is different? What are they doing differently to the people who, maybe learn for 2 or 3 months or, maybe 6 months and kind of don't get that long-term benefit. And obviously what we're really trying to do is lift up the number of people who do go on to become, successful guitar players, longer term learners. So I thought, well, there must be some ingredients here. I mean, we could even call it a recipe. I haven't thought about giving it a fancy name yet, but there were things that came up kind of time and time again. And I spoke to Mike and Jimmy, our 2 teachers, about it as well. So if you've got any thoughts on what I'm going to share today, or if you disagree with something or you're doing something that I haven't mentioned, please do let me know, because, this is just like an initial thought. So I'm gonna go through these 6 steps or 6 ingredients or whatever you want to call them, just look at what you are doing, what you're not doing, and again, like I said, if there's anything that I haven't mentioned, then please do pipe up and let me know. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to give you, if I can find it, here it is. Step number 1, or ingredient number 1, is set goals. All right. This is often something that people struggle with. But I when I speak to adults, very often they know why they want to learn to play guitar. Often they've wanted to learn since they were a kid, or they had lessons when they were a kid and they gave up and they regretted it. And they'll have a very clear idea of the kind of music they're into, the kind of stuff they'd like to be able to actually play on guitar. So for adults, this stuff is generally a lot easier. Kids, especially younger kids, they don't know. Right? When you say to them, what are your goals for playing guitar? They don't know. They've never even thought about it. They've just seen, maybe a friend or a family member playing. They've seen someone online or on TV looking cool, and they've got no idea what goals are. So that can be quite difficult for kids and also for parents. But we've discovered that it's very, very hard, particularly in the early days, if kids do not have some kind of clear, measurable goal to be working towards. Because if there is no goal, then all the exercises we do, all of the kind of core skill stuff that we do, it starts to become boring and it starts to become hard pretty quick, right? And if there's no underlying reason underneath that why you or your child wants to learn guitar, it's going to be really hard to stick with it, because immediately you're going to be thinking, well, I'm not enjoying it. I don't feel like I'm making any progress. I'm not playing anything that's fun. But if there's no goal there in the first place, it can be quite hard to keep that level of motivation up, because you've got no idea where you're going. You're doing your picking exercises, you're struggling to change between your chords. But if you can't see an end goal there, or I want to play a particular song, for example, it's very, very hard to keep that motivation. Sometimes people say to me, oh, well, we just want to learn guitar. Learn guitar, as I put here, is not a goal, because there are so many ways that you can learn guitar. Like, there are so many different avenues you can go down. Or sometimes people might say to me, oh, I want to learn the basics. Great, that's what we can help you do. But we still want to get you learning those basics, within a certain amount of time and for a specific reason. Why do you want to learn the basics, right? Again, you're not just going to want to sit there picking exercises and scales up and down, because that's not much fun unless you're actually doing anything with them. So I've written some examples here of goals. So something really obvious, and again, this kind of ties in with our method, right? To complete junior level 1 within 6 months. That's a goal, right? To play a particular song within 3 months or 6 months or a year or 2 years. It doesn't matter what that song is. It might be something that's a very suitable song for beginners, or it might be a harder song that you're going to have to work for a little bit longer, to kind of get together. Some kind of performance goal. So to perform on stage within a year is a really good goal. Or to form a band and start playing some gigs within 2 years. That's also a goal. Again, this stuff probably not relevant to 6 and 7 year olds, although you never know. Or a much bigger goal to complete all G4 levels within 3 years, right? Which is possible. If you do that, then you will be at the point where you're going to be able to play pretty much whatever you like anyway. But the point is, before you even start thinking about, finding a teacher, looking for lessons, have a think about this, even if they're just really, really, really basic goals, to get the basic skills down within 6 months, a year, whatever. Sometimes parents might have a particular goal for their child, and their child might have different goals. So discuss this. If your child is thinking about learning guitar, try and find out a little bit more about why. Because that really helps us as teachers, and it will also help you as students and parents to stay motivated as well. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2 is structure. So this is really important here, because structure creates measurable results and accountability. So it's important to realize that without structure, progress will usually be slow and chaotic. I know this from experience, both in my own learning and also my early days of teaching, I have to say. My early days of teaching, my heart was in the right place. I wanted to do a good job, but I didn't really have any structure to what I was doing. I would turn up to students' houses and say, what do you want to do today? And sometimes they'd give me a song that, I now know was kind of way out of their level, way out of their comfort zone. And I would try and teach them that song. And of course, they'd be all over the place because, some of the skills weren't there. The muscle memory wasn't there. We were trying to go too kind of fast. And then next week I'd turn up, what do you want to do today? And by that point, they probably got bored with that song because they're finding it too hard. So then they say they want to do something else. So we're kind of jumping around and doing different things. And it's very, very hard to maintain a sense of progress if there's no structure. So ways that we put structure into what we do, obviously our method is very structured, the G4 guitar method. There are 11 levels in total. Obviously, you wouldn't go through all 11 of them unless you were a young child, but most people are going to go through, I would say, 5 or 6 of them. But we got the different methods for the different age groups, and obviously the different levels within that. Each level has got a checklist. So either we or you will tick off exercises as you get them done, which makes it very easy to see what you've got ticked off, what you haven't got ticked off, and therefore what you need to work on in your practice. Weekly lessons kind of goes without saying, really. I mean, get a guitar teacher and try and see them at least once a week. Some of our students attend multiple lessons a week, which is absolutely fine. But we recommend that you commit to attending a lesson and catching up with your teacher at least once a week, because it just helps keep that sense of structure and progress. And then, of course, daily practice. And I know that a lot of people don't practice every day. And I certainly wouldn't expect everybody to practice 365 days a year. What we normally recommend is 20 to 30 minutes practice 5 days a week. Even if you can't manage 20 minutes, even 5 or 10 will do. Even if you can't manage 5 days a week, 3 or 4 will do initially. But the point is, we want to be building up that routine. We want to be building up that structure to incorporate that daily practice into our lives. Because if you learn for too long and you're not doing the daily practice, your progress is going to stall. Again, you're going to feel bored, you're going to feel frustrated, and you're probably going to want to quit, right? So structure is very, very, very important in all areas there, the method, the lessons themselves, and your own daily practice. Okay. Number 3, skills. So learn your core skills first. So in the G4 guitar method, we focus on the 7 essential skills. They're written down there. I'm not going to read them out for you. And again, this is something that I've kind of done over the years. I used to be a very song-based guitar teacher. I think most guitar teachers are when they first start, because you think, well, I love playing songs. I know other people want to play songs. Let's just cut straight to the songs. But there are all kinds of reasons why that's not really a great idea to start with. The initial focus should be on at least getting started on each of these 7 essential skills, because the better you get at the skills, the easier and better. The easier you're going to find the songs that you want to play, and the better you're going to be at playing them, right? So however much you want to just play songs, which is what people sometimes say, without first having a solid skill foundation, it's going to take much longer, right? And the songs themselves are going to sound kind of sloppy because you haven't got the skills in place. You might be kind of not picking correctly. So you're like muting strings, or you're not playing in time because you haven't done any rhythm training. Okay, so learning the skills first are going to enable you to play the music you love sooner. Very, very important, and you're going to be better at it as well. So again, guys, trust the process. The skills are not there to make you bored. The skills are there to improve your chances of being able to play the stuff that you actually want to play sooner. All right, number 4, support. This is also important. And some of you watching this will know, right? Learning guitar is hard, and often I think people don't quite understand quite how hard it can be, especially in the early ages, and especially for younger kids. There are all kinds of challenges that we all have when we're trying to do anything that uses our hands or fingers in a way that is alien to us, right? It takes a little bit of time to get the hang of it, and especially for the really young kids, they're still developing, those fine motor skills. So, it is hard. And again, from my own experience, I've taught 1 hour private lessons, 1 hour group lessons, half-hour private lessons, half-hour group lessons, and every possible combination in between. And, so you're much more likely to succeed if you've got a community behind you. Our retention rate now is much, much, much better because our students are not only connecting with their teacher, but they're also connecting with other students, sometimes other parents. It makes it a bit more fun. You kind of know that, where you are in terms of, learning with other people. So, you can look at somebody else who's at a similar level to you and say, oh, actually, they're struggling with this too. It's not a problem that's just unique to me. That person is also struggling with it. So you might also then be able to help someone else because they might be struggling with something that you've struggled with. So, it goes around and comes around, right? That kind of thing. So ways that we offer support. We help parents to support their kids with practice and staying motivated. This is a really big one because, like I said, and I talk about this a lot in this group and elsewhere, kids typically don't really understand why they need to practice. They don't really get the long-term journey in the same way that we as adults do. So, they often practice, they'll love coming to the lessons, they'll love playing guitar, but they just don't want to do the practice. They don't really understand how the two relate. And this actually goes back to setting goals again, because if you have a clear goal for your child, or maybe 2 or 3 goals, then that is one way of helping them stay motivated. But we've got various resources and things that we share with the parents of our students to help them. We also talk to them a lot. We try and catch up with our students and our parents, particularly parents, actually, if we're not seeing them regularly. We recommend, if you haven't heard from us, if you haven't heard anything from us in a while, it's usually because we think your kid is doing absolutely fine, right? But sometimes you might not know that, and you might wonder what they're up to, so always give us a call, me or whoever your child's main teacher is, because we have had a few instances recently where, as far as we're concerned, the student is doing really, really well and there are no issues. And then we've had these kind of phone calls with parents where they're sounding really frustrated because, they haven't been kind of sitting with their kids in the lessons. They're not sure what they're doing. They're not sure how much they're practicing. So, we'll generally contact you if there's something specific that we want to discuss. And we recommend, if you're not sitting in on the lessons, to catch up with your child's teacher maybe once a month, just to get a bit of a progress update from the horse's mouth as well. So we've got, phone, email, plus our other Facebook group, our student Facebook group as well, where we can do that. We provide lots of additional learning resources like videos and song charts. So we've got our YouTube channel, and we've got a Google Drive folder that we share with all of our students, which includes a lot of kind of bonus materials as well. We help our students apply their skills towards reaching their goals. So, I'll talk about this in a little bit more detail in a minute, but, we don't just want you to be learning the skills and that's that. We also want you to be working towards the stuff that you actually want to do. And then my favorite, which I've done a little bit of over the last couple of days, is we connect our students with others of a similar level or sharing similar goals. And this is really cool because, we're creating friendships. There's already a couple of bands that have formed out of our students, which, I'm really proud of. I think it's really, really cool. And I actually want to do a lot more of that. Yeah. So especially once we're out of this COVID business and we can all get back to playing and jamming together and performing and hanging out, this is something that I'm really planning on doing a lot more of, because it's such a lot of fun. So that's support. Next, songs. Now I'm going to sound a little bit like I'm contradicting myself here, because obviously earlier I said learn the skills first before you focus on the songs. So what I mean by that is, you don't need to just focus on the skills for like 3 years, or and never learn a song, because obviously then all you're going to be doing is just playing a bunch of chord changes and a bunch of rhythm exercises, a bunch of arpeggios. The whole point of learning these skills is that we want to start applying them as soon as possible into playing the stuff that you want to play. And again, this comes back to your goals. Everything, when we look through all of this, everything comes back to goals. That's why I've put it at number 1, because it's really, really, really important. Okay, so I like to think of learning the skills as a bit like the kind of vehicle that you travel in to reach the destination. I haven't worded this very well, but you get the idea, right? So if the destination is I don't know, forming a band okay, so let's say the destination is playing at some open mic nights within a year, right, which is completely possible. The skills are going to be the destination to get you there, but obviously you need to learn some songs in order to actually play at the open mic night. So what the thing then to do would be to focus on applying those skills to suitable songs. So only songs that use those skills that you've already learned. So, you know, you don't want to be running ahead and trying to learn a bunch of new chords or a bunch of new scales or picking techniques. So, you know, we've been doing this a long time. We've got lots and lots and lots of song suggestions. People often come to me and say, when am I going to be able to play a song? And I'm like, well, you probably already can. You just don't know it yet. And I've made some other videos on this as well. But again, especially for kids, that yes, of course, we want to learn the skills. They are important. We don't just want to be doing songs, but as soon as it's possible to start playing songs, you should start playing songs, right? So I've given some ideas here. These are obviously for beginners. So simple riffs or melodies. So obviously in our method, we include things like Twinkle Twinkle for the kids, and, you know, simple little melodies like Ode to Joy, which was one that we used to do a lot. And then, you know, adults, things like Pretty Woman. I put Seven Nation Army there. I mean, there are loads of, you know, guitar riffs. Day Tripper by the Beatles is another one. But you should be able to start playing some of this stuff, you know, within the first few months, right? There's no need to wait until you've gone through all of your levels before you even start thinking about playing songs. The trick is to start playing the right kind of songs at the right time, so that all you're doing is just taking those skills that you can already use and apply them into songs. Okay. Next one is songs with 3 to 4 basic chords. So it was Catherine that reminded me of Horse with No Name. It used to be the very first thing that I taught people, and I've actually gone back. I've started teaching this again now, and I've been running like my free taster lessons. And Horse with No Name is a great example because it's just 2 chords that you just change between, you know, 1 bar at a time, and all you need to do if you want is 1 strum, giving yourself plenty of time to change. Very often I can get people playing a version of that song by the end of their free lesson, right? Not even paid me any money. So I've just got them playing that. You know, I've shown them the chord, the variation, and then a very, very basic strumming pattern so they can play that. Songbird, that's an Oasis song. That's only got two chords in it, as have Paperback Writer and Eleanor Rigby, which are, of course, by the Beatles. I've included Knocking on Heaven's Door. I've been teaching that for a long time. 4 senior level 1 chords. I Got a Feeling by Black Eyed Peas is a great one. It's got a few nice little beginner techniques in it. Perfect by Ed Sheeran. I mean, these were just ones I thought of off the top of my head this morning. There are loads and loads and loads of these. And then as you start to get a little bit better, you can combine your basic chords with strumming patterns. So one that I've taught over and over again is Brown Eyed Girl. It's got like, I think, 4 chords in it, plus a very, very common strumming pattern. Talking About Revolution, that's a Tracy Chapman song. Free Falling, that's by Tom Petty. They actually use exactly the same chord structure and exactly the same strumming pattern, pretty much. And there are literally hundreds of songs that you can play that use just the chords and the strumming techniques shown in senior level 1, literally hundreds. Now, we don't need to sit there and teach you if you've got the skills already, right? This is the beauty of learning the skills first. If you've got the skills already, we won't need to sit there and teach you how to play the song, because we can say, right, well, it's got these 4 chords in, which we already know you can change between, and it uses this strumming pattern, which we already know that you can use. And all you need to do is just link it together. So if you're ever struggling for songs to learn to play again, we've got a massive library, a massive database of songs that I've basically built up since I started teaching. But, you know, we can also recommend you YouTube videos made by other teachers as well. Often they're a lot better than anything that we would put together. So, you know, don't ever feel like just because you're not doing songs in your lessons, it means that you can't play songs. Like, yes, you are going to be able to start playing songs within the first 6 to 12 months easily. And then finally, simplified versions of harder songs. Again, I talked about this, I think a few weeks ago. If you want to play a song, but it's just too hard, this is something I used to do when I was growing up. When I was at school, one of the first bands I was in was a metal band, And anybody who knew me at the time would know I was not really into metal at all, but that was what all the other kids were into. And the only way that I could join a band was to join a metal band. So I did. Obviously, my playing was nowhere near as good, enough to play Iron Maiden solos. But what I was able to do was work out a much kind of simpler version of playing those solos and those songs. And you can do that too. Most songs can be boiled down to simple, 2 or 3 note little kind of bass lines. And this is all the stuff we can help you with. So again, coming back to support, I love it when people come to me and say, what songs can I learn to play? Because I just love recommending songs to people. I love hearing about the kind of music they're into. So again, ask for support, ask for some song recommendations. I'm really, really happy. I mean, this is just a very, very small sample of stuff that I thought about this morning while I was putting this together. So songs are also important. And then finally, number 6, I've called this stage. Okay, I managed to get these all pretty much beginning with the same letter as well, which wasn't intentional. It just kind of happened that way. So now I've put stage here. I don't want you to necessarily think that you should be playing Glastonbury if it goes ahead next year. This is just about being able to play in front of people, and it doesn't matter whether that person is your mum, your teacher, your classmates, right? Being able to play in front of people is, I believe, I passionately believe, the kind of end game really of where you should be getting with your guitar playing. What's the point of becoming a good player if you're sitting in your bedroom and no one else hears you, right? And it's a lot of fun as well. I've been playing in bands since seriously, I've been playing in bands since I was about 16. In fact, I had a chat with a friend of mine that I've known for a very long time last night on Zoom, and we were just reminiscing about all the crazy stuff that we got up to when we were teenagers playing in a band together. A lot of memories there, and it's a lot of fun, and it feels great, and it's just a really, really cool thing to do with your playing. So I think it's the performing in any capacity is the next natural step, right, after learning and playing. So if you follow this path, learning guitar could lead to opportunities you never thought possible. Seriously, you'll make new friends, you'll make new connections, you might get asked to perform in bands. All of that stuff has happened to me, and it can totally happen for you as well, right? So ways you can perform. So this is the kind of easiest one here, in front of your teacher and classmates, right? That's one of the reasons, that's one of the big reasons why we like to teach in groups, because we want to get people comfortable with the idea of playing in front of other people as soon as possible. In front of family at home. So, you might want to do a little performance for mum and dad, maybe siblings if you've got any, in front of friends in a small gathering. Hopefully we're going to be able to do that again in the not too distant future, accompanying a friend or family member. So perhaps one of the first things that you might want to do is, if you know someone who's a singer who likes to sing and you can play a bit, you can get together and maybe play some cover songs or something. That's a really cool thing to do too. And then a progression on from there might be to play at some open mic nights. You can see I've started very, very low, and then we're gradually coming up here, open mic nights, and then we get, forming a band and playing gigs in small venues. Again, that's something that's I very, very hope that we can do soon. And then you might progress from there to playing at local festivals. I've put at the end here online recitals and performance opportunities, because that is about all we can do at the moment. Obviously, apart from these two here, but all of this stuff is possible, and I can't tell you guys how much I am looking forward to doing this stuff again. I've really, really missed it. I was able to meet up and have a few jam sessions with a few friends last summer when they briefly relaxed the restrictions, but it's been several months, and I'm talking to a lot of people at the moment who are really, really missing it. So that's why I've added the online recitals there. And this is such an important topic for me that I've added an extra little section here: benefits of performing. keeps you focused towards achieving a goal. So again, coming right back to the top, setting goals. You might think, okay, I've got a performance coming up in 2 months' time. If there's a definite date for that performance, you know that you're going to work really hard. You're going to practice really hard to get whatever it is that you're performing to a level that you feel comfortable with. If you never put yourself forward to do any performances, you know, you don't have that same kind of level of motivation to get it done by a certain date or a certain time. And then we've got connects with others. That's pretty self-explanatory, really. You know, it's, for me, it's been such a massive part of my life, and I really want it to be a part of yours as well. Develop self-confidence, communication, and leadership skills. Absolutely, I was an incredibly shy child. I still am, actually. I'm actually more of an introvert than I am an extrovert. And my own self-confidence and a lot of my communication skills and stuff have come from being in bands and jamming and playing with other people. Is loads of fun. Again, I don't need to say that, I've already said that again. And then this one's really important. It develops your musicianship skills, right, in ways that can't be achieved in lessons alone, especially if you're just having private lessons, right? There's lots and lots of ways that performing with other people, or, you know, even performing on your own, you start finding out much more about what it takes to be a proper musician, rather than just being a bedroom-bound guitar player playing on your own. And I would go so far as to say that I probably learned more when I was growing up from being in these collaborative performance situations than I did in my private lessons. You know, I mean, obviously I learned a lot of my basic skills and everything, but you know, things like playing in time, like knowing how to arrange music, songwriting, communicating with people that play other instruments, you start to get an idea of how other instruments work. So again, these I just thought of off the top of my head earlier this morning, and I'm sure there are lots of others as well. So I've gone a little bit over time here, guys. I'm very proud of myself. I thought I would go way over time. So to recap, here we go. Set goals, have a learning structure, learn the core skills first, get support, play songs, perform on stage. If you have all of those things in place, you're much more likely to succeed. You're much more likely to stick out those first few months, and you're much more likely to have fun, and you're much more likely to become a kind of longer term guitar player. If I speak to people who are struggling with their learning, it's very often because one or more of those components or ingredients, or whatever we're going to call them, are missing. So have a look at your own, the way that you've learned and the way that you want to learn, and, you know, really think, are those things in there? And if you could put, you know, if there are any of them that you haven't got in there, is there something you can do to tighten them up a little bit? All right, I'm going to leave it there for now. So Rick says, I've found playing at blues jams great fun, even though I keep my amp turned down. Well, that's a good one, actually. You know what? It's quite fun to just kind of jump around and have a bit of fun. And if you're feeling a little bit nervous, yeah, you can turn your amp down. I've certainly done that before. And then Rick says again, in my experience, rhythm is everything. Sometimes when I can't play something, if I set a click going, it becomes a lot easier. Absolutely. You know, that's why we do so much with the metronome. Playing in time is so important. So thank you very much. If you're watching this now, or if you're watching this later, or if you're watching it when it's up on YouTube, which it will be soon, I hope you found this useful, and please do let me know, as always, if you have any questions.